Let's start off by showing you how you can use Azure Files to synchronize file servers in different locations. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Azure and view the sync groups that I created. I'm going to look at sync group 2, which consists of one Azure file share and two server endpoints called Ignite Server 1 and Ignite Server 2, both syncing a folder called log files. If we click on Ignite Server 1, you can see that cloud tiering is enabled and we've set the volume free space to 95% to be aggressive about free space. The second server is also with cloud tiering enabled and set to 10% free. Now, let's bring up an RDP window with both of these servers, Ignite Server 1 and 2, so we can see how modifying files on one server impacts and syncs to the second. We've opened the log files folder on both servers, and you can see the same files on both servers backed by Azure Files. If you look at the attributes, you'll notice different attributes on the server on the left, which shows files with the PLO attribute indicating the file is partially or fully tiered to Azure. Now let's take a look at this first title here, Build Your Hybrid Cloud. If we take a look at the file properties, we can see that it's 23 megabytes, but it's only using 7.3 megabytes on disk. This file is partially cached here on my local server and backed by Azure Files. If I double click on it and run it, you can see it starts playing, and I can even fast forward and scrub through the file transparently while it's streamed down to the file server from Azure. If we close this, go back to properties and take a look, you'll see that the file has now grown from 7.3 to, let's see, 11.3 megabytes based on the amount we watched. Let's take a look at some other files. Here we have, for example, a zip file. You can see, looking at properties, you can see that it's 3.5 megabytes, but it's actually only using 0 disk space locally. So if we double click on this Excel file, you can see, yep, it opens right up, just like that. If we go ahead and close those, let's open up another one. You again can see these are streamed immediately from Azure, and now these are intelligently cached on my hybrid file server. If we then go back to the properties for this zip file, you'll see it's now using 3.5 megabytes, and these files now reside locally. So you can see the items that are slightly grayed out here shows what resides in Azure Files, but again, these work as if they're running locally. For example, suppose we need to change the name of this PDF file from retracer, and let's just rename it. Let's go down here to rename, and let's actually call it renamed.pdf. Okay, well again, it's going to act just like a local file server. So if we now go to the Ignite Server 2, let's go ahead and let's head on over here. You can see it's retracer.pdf. And if we go over here to properties, actually click refresh the directory, you'll notice it's refreshed to rename.pdf. So you can see, again, this is a transparent, your file server just works normally. You don't need your apps to know anything. Your apps just work the way you would expect them to. Transparently and easily with this hybrid cloud file server capability. So that's tiering and synchronization. Let's take a look at disaster recovery. Let's suppose one of the file servers in my branch office had a hardware failure. The power supply died. Well, now the good news is the Azure Files is backing all of this, so your branch office folks can still access their files residing up in Azure while we set up a new server in the branch. I've created a sync group called Rapid Restore, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new server to this group to sync from Azure. In fact, here's my Ignite Server 2. I've installed the Azure Storage Sync agent, so it's all ready to go. That's literally all you need. Here's my cloud endpoints. You can see I have 0 server endpoints. By the way, if we open up an RDP window to this server, you can see that this is a brand new volume, which is completely empty. I'm going to go back to the Rapid Restore Sync group, and I'm going to click Add Server Endpoint. Since this is a new server, I'm going to register the server and the path that I want to sync, of course. Let's go ahead and type that in here. And in the meantime, let's bring up a remote connection to the new server and refresh the directory. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do a little resizing here. Great, and let's refresh that. So while that's happening, let's bring back the Azure browser window. And you can see here that the Azure file is it's in the provisioning state while it's provisioning the new server. And let's refresh, and whoop, you can see here the files are already starting to sync back to the server. Yep, here they come. You can see the files are all appearing. That Office file, that zip file I showed you, that video file I showed you, it's here. A bunch of text documents. Let's go ahead and actually, well, let's just go ahead and double click on something here. Yep, there's a text file streaming back from Azure running here on my local file server. In fact, if we go back to that video file I showed you earlier, let's go ahead and double click and open that. And whoops, we have a new system here, so media player is launching for the first time. So let's click continue here. And it starts streaming the video for the first time. Just like that. And again, like before, if I want to scrub the file, I can do that. And if we want to stop that and go back to properties, you can see that in fact, again, it's a 23 megabyte file, but in fact, only 11.3 of it is downloaded and streamed to disk. Pretty cool.